Welcome back to the next module. And in this module, we're going to be talking about the essential steps for a successful online coaching business. Now, we've discussed this in previous modules, but please have a look at your notes. And if you haven't written it down, have a think about it, what you really want, because it's really important. Like I said before, we need to know where we're going. So write down your income goals, how many hours you want to work per week, and what contribution you want to make to the world as well, because it's not always about the monetary side of things. It's about how you're going to improve people's lives, and that will keep you fulfilled and keep you going through the harder times as well. So have a think about what you really want. It's super important to identify your target market. So I would suggest that you do a brainstorm of all the things that you could teach on or what you'd like to do online coaching around. And then you need to identify your target market. So if you were in the fitness market, you wouldn't necessarily do fitness for everybody. You might do it for the over 50s, or maybe you do it for women post pregnancy, or people who want to train for a marathon. And then you have a specific niche. And then once you know who you're trying to target, you can find out where those kind of people are. So if you were targeting people who'd had babies, then maybe you might want to advertise at baby groups and that kind of thing, because that's where they are, or online in mums groups, etc., etc. So it makes it much easier to find new clients when you know exactly who you're trying to target. Google is definitely your friend, because there's nothing that you can't find on Google. So for example, you can see here, I went onto Google and I put in online coach for weight loss. And this is, I don't know this guy, but it came up with a guy called Daniel Harrod, online fitness and nutrition coach. So straight away you can see that he's online fitness. So that's slightly unusual, because normally we would think of fitness coaches as in person, but here you have an online fitness coach, and he does nutrition as well. So it's super clear what he does. And then underneath it says online fat loss coach, experienced personal trainer and mentor to hundreds of men and women who have decided to stand up and make a change. So you can see straight away it's really clear who Daniel's target audience are and what goals they're trying to achieve and the outcomes they're trying to achieve, like we spoke about in the previous module. So that clarity in the heading makes it really easy to make a decision about whether you're going to click on his website or not. So bear this in mind when you are setting up your website. And we're going to talk about the practical steps to setting up a website in the next module. But for now, think about that and how you need to be really clear. Because if, say, my friend who I was talking to you about, who's doing style, she's styling people. If she wants to style women over 40, it's very clear who her target market is. Maybe if she wanted to, and she's 40, so she can relate easily to that target market. She wants to work with people who are specifically living outside of the cities, because she feels like it's a market that's not catered for. So there again is another example of how that clarity makes it really easy for other people to recommend you as well. Because if someone said to me, I don't think any of my clothes suit me, I'd straight away think of her and say, well, actually, she could do a colour analysis on you and find out which are your colours for your complexion and your hair. So the more you know about who you want to work with, the easier it is for people to recommend you and for people to find you, because it's super specific, as in this example. So this is his website. So I click through just from that search term. And as soon as the website opens up, it comes up, how to win at fat loss. Stop the constant failing and start winning by downloading the free How to Win at Fat Loss guide. Now, we'll learn about this in the next module, but this is a way to collect people's email addresses so you can start building a relationship with people who are potentially going to be your future clients. Now, he has put something very specific there. He is saying, it's something people want to achieve. It's a common goal, I would imagine, fat loss. And there's a guide there, and you can download it now and that will be the start of your relationship. Now, I would imagine that if you downloaded it, you will then you will be part of his email list, and he will probably send out emails to you on a regular basis so that you can get to know him and learn more about him, and then eventually that should result in a sale. So it's super clear, the website. There's not much writing on the top of the page, and that would be called before the fold. So that's, if you just open up the website, that's how much you can see. And you can see that there's not very much on there, and they're asking for you to take an action as soon as you go on. So that's really good marketing. If you scroll down his website, you then get pictures of his previous clients, and that gives him credibility. So you can see the transformations that have taken place, and he's done well because he's using photographs and he's using text as well. So it covers both. You get the writing, and then you get the picture as well to back up the writing. So he's got lots of examples of people. There's 2 males on those pictures, but there was females and all kinds of people on there. So if I was on there as a female, I would be able to relate to it because it's another female. So that's why it's important to have examples from people who would be like your target audience, because where we see similarities in others, that kind of draws us to those people. In addition to that, he has put us as seen in. So they're the places he's been seen in. For example, Women's Health. He's been in there, an indie magazine, and so he's put that on his website. He's also put that he won the Fitness Awards for PT of the Year runner-up in 2019. So that builds trust, because he's won awards. So it means that he must be good. Otherwise, he wouldn't have won the awards. And it starts to build that trust. So, and you can see in that example, there was 3 ways he has started to try and build a relationship and trust with his potential clients. So the first one was asking for an email address to send a piece of, value, the guidebook. It's value to somebody for free. So it's that, when I was talking about it before, about giving first. So that was the first part. And then he's then shared his testimonials. And then the third part is sharing about who he's worked with, so some big organizations, and the awards. So there's ways to sort of start building up that relationship. And that's what you need to be doing and thinking about. So if any of this applies to you, if you've won any awards, make sure you note it down, because you're going to need this content for when you're building your website. The website also fulfills the goal that we spoke about earlier about clarity. So as you scroll down his website, and you can go on and have a look and see this firsthand, but you can see he's put, hey, what would you like to do? So do you want online coaching? Do you want in-person coaching, or do you just want to read his blog? So maybe you just want to learn a bit more about fat loss and you don't really want to buy anything. So he's given you 3 options, and 3 is always a good number for choosing. And it's very clear. There's not loads of writing. You can read pretty quickly what my options are, because if you lose people early on, they'll just go off and jump off and get back to their normal life and go and do something else. So he's made it really, really easy for you to make a decision on his website. Like, what would you like to do? And then you can choose. And then this is a picture he shared of himself. And the writing down the side, that's me, Daniel Harrod. He looks authoritative on there. He looks smart. He's not on a beach, is he? He's in the gym. So there's that recognition. Okay, he's in the gym, more credibility. He's looking confident to the camera. There's not a big write-up, but he shared his credibility, experienced personal trainer and mentor to hundreds of men and women who have decided to stand up and make a change. And that inspires you in itself, like, stand up and make a change. That's what we want to do. There's that confidence. Like, he's standing there, he's got his hands crossed. He's like, yes, I'm solid here. I know what I'm doing. I've coached lots of people. So there you go. You'll also see on that screenshot in the corner, there's a little, what's it called? Like a little text box. and that would be live chat. So you can chat to somebody in his team and ask questions. So he's got everything going on this website. Now, this website is a very, very good example, but I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by this, because he would have taken time to build this over time. So, but it's just a really good example of something you can aspire to be as you get better at your coaching and learning about the things that will help you grow your audience and grow your clients. Now, if you are still thinking about how to find your target audience, these are a few questions that you can ask yourself. So you might want to say, who do you love working with? Like, who would you work with if you could do it for free? And when you find those kind of people, that's where they feel easy to work with. They are effortlessly your client, because sometimes if you try and get people to work with you who aren't really your fit, you're going to have a lot of trouble, and it's going to feel like walking through mud, and you're going to hate the calls, and generally it never works out well. So it's always good to find people who you love to work with, and you do it with them for free. Think about your own experiences and your own target market, because if you are your target market, then it makes it very easy to know what would appeal, because it appeals to you as well. So if you are post-pregnancy, then it's very easy to think, well, actually, this is what I need, or this is what I wanted, and I had to find my own solution. And if you had to find a solution, so I have a friend who she had a baby, and she couldn't find a sunshade that would go and protect her baby over the pushchair. And so she designed one called Snooze Shade, and she knew what she was missing in a shade. I think the umbrellas used to fly off from the pushchair. And so she created this snooze shade, but that came from her own experience. And also she'd been a post-pregnant woman, and so she'd know where they hung out and all those kind of things. So she really knew her target audience. And she was confident that she could provide a solution, because she knew, as a new mother, there was not a solution that protected her child from the sun or the wind, or if they were trying to sleep in the car or whatever it might be. So she was really confident, because she knew that solution was one that she would have wanted if she could have had it without designing it herself. So there's a few examples of ways to find your target audience. So if there's something in your life that you've had to overcome, so maybe you've got children and you want them to be tutored for grammar school. Like, how did you find a tutor? Or maybe you tutored your children, and maybe you could tutor other children who are going to go through the same process that your child went through. So it's when you start thinking about your life and thinking about what solutions other people need, often they're the same solutions that you needed at some point in your life. So think about those ideas when you're moving forward. Now, this is a part that maybe feels boring, but it's super important to do, and that's doing the research. So what pain points does the audience have? And there's ways you can do this. So you can use social media to do this. So especially if you go into Facebook groups, you can use the search bar in Facebook groups and search for things like, how do I, or why. You can put why into a search box. The questions that you might ask if you're looking for a solution to something is, you can put them into a search box and see what other people are searching for. You could use Twitter, use Google. Like I say, Google is your friend. Go on forums and have a look around what you think the pain points might be. And then once you've done that, you need to interview members of your target market and see what you can uncover from them, because it might be, so in terms of the snooze shade, maybe people didn't want that. Maybe they were happy just to have the umbrella. Obviously, that wasn't the case, because she went on and invented it and sold hundreds of thousands of them. But you need to know and understand what your market wants, because there's no point providing a solution when people don't want that solution. It's just the solution you think you might like in your head. So do the research and have conversations with people. And one thing I learned was, sometimes it feels, you say to somebody, oh, I'm going to do this. and they say, oh, nobody will want that. And it can feel a bit disheartening. But there's two things about that. One, some people will always say it's not going to work, and you need to overlook that. And if you feel really passionate about something, just keep going regardless. But the other thing is if someone says, oh, yeah, that sounds a great idea, that advice is actually pointless because it doesn't give you anything to go on. But if someone says, oh, that sounds interesting, but have you thought about this? It can open up your mind to things that you've never even thought about yourself. So if people give you feedback, encourage feedback and constructive feedback, because it can only help you as you start to grow your business. So here's some examples. So this is a Facebook group that I found, and I put into the search bar, does anyone know? So someone's put, does anyone know any coaches of people, or to say how to interview better. So maybe if you are good at doing interviews, again, there's something you could coach people on. You could set up a coaching business around being a better interviewee or interviewer. So these are things you wouldn't know. So someone else has put, does anyone have any experience on setting up a new course platform? So if you've got experience around setting up online courses, that's something you can coach others on. And you can find these results out by just literally going into groups and searching and seeing what people are asking for. So somebody else says, I'm not a tech expert. Does anyone know someone who is a WordPress expert? So if you are brilliant at WordPress, again, you could be an online coach, a WordPress online coach. And actually, I know someone who was really good at WordPress. And so she started tutoring and teaching people how to do WordPress, and she did it online and charged per hour. So this is a really good idea when you're trying to think of ideas, to go to these places that are freely available online within social media and look what other people are looking for. So here's a few research tools. If you can't think of any yourselves, phone people. I know it feels novel nowadays that people don't really phone people, but you can go and phone people and ask them what they think. You can ask your family and your friends, see what they think. Or you could create a form and send it out to people if you've got an email list, or you can get access to an email list of somebody you work with or could collaborate with. So you could use Google form or Typeform and create a really nice questionnaire and ask people questions around what you want to market and who you want to market to. So use those research tools. They're easy to get going with and super accessible. This is a great tool, and it's called answerthepublic.com. And for free, I think you can do three searches a month, a day, even 3 searches a day. And you can discover what people are asking about. So you could put in online coaching, or you could put in fishing, and you could see if that's what you wanted to do, or career coaching. And then it comes up with all the answers. So who, which online coaching, what does it say? When it's super small, I can't see it very well, but let me see. I can't read it. It's just asking lots of questions. It's super small. I think you probably had to zoom in, but there's just, so it'll come up with, what is the best way to do online coaching, or how can I do this around online coaching? Basically, it comes up with words around what, who, why, when, are, which, will, where. And so if you put in your topic area, some of the results won't be relevant, but some of them might really help you. And also, this is a really good tool if you are writing blogs or writing content, because you can see what people are asking about online and then write a blog with that title. And that will help you, because the keywords will help get it shown up. So keywords are words that people are searching for online. And if you use that in the title, then there's more chance of your work showing up for people who are searching for it. So it's a really, really good tool. And so I would use that if you have the opportunity. Where you provide effective solutions to problems, this will set you up for a successful coaching practice, because ultimately that is what people want. They just want solutions to their problems. They don't want hard work, but normally work is involved, and it's always good to set your clients up to say, you are going to do some work for this, but if you can provide solutions to problems, that is going to be the basis of a successful coaching practice, because people will leave happy and they will have achieved the things that they set out and then want to achieve. But you need to stand out, because there are lots of coaches around, and you need to stand out and for people to be able to find you. So you need to create a plan to raise your profile. So raising your profile is so people get to know you as a coach. So people would know me as someone in the community space. And if someone wants to build a community, then I would often come up as a choice for people. So I often get tagged on posts on social media because people are looking for somebody to help them build community, and my name often comes up. So the way I've done that has been to regularly share on social media, which I've done for 8 or 9 years, and create content around what I'm doing on social media around which showcases my expertise. So when I work with Facebook, I share pictures from being with Facebook in London and in Dublin and at the events I went to, and sharing things they shared with me. So it really created recognition, really, because sharing the things you're up to, if you don't share them with anybody, no one's going to know about them, and it won't raise your profile. So the most important thing that I've ever done is build relationships with people, because if you build strong relationships with people, and this is again about giving before asking, and I've built relationships up with entrepreneurs. I've helped out at events for free many times, and then later on work has come out of that, or I've had new clients. So building relationships in your network is super important, because if you get referred work, it's going to be more likely you're going to be hired, because referrals come with that element of trust built in, because it's a referral. So always look out for opportunities to be interviewed. So I've been interviewed on podcasts before, and it really does raise your profile, because people have got an opportunity to listen to you and get value from you, and then they ultimately want to go on and work with you. So look at opportunities to be interviewed and take them if they come up. So it's brilliant if you have a brand identity. So who are you, and what do you stand for, and what do you believe in? So you need to stand out from others. Like, say what you believe in. So for many years I shared that, I really want employee happiness to be the norm and not the exception, because I feel so many people go to work and they don't enjoy their jobs. I wanted everyone to say, yeah, I love my work. And if someone said I don't love their work, for people to be shocked. But currently it's the other way around, where most people don't enjoy their work. And so that was something that I really stood for. I believe in community. I believe that community will be the core of all businesses in the future. And I share that regularly, and I'm known for that. And whether it was membership sites or working in Facebook groups, the common element was building community. So share it, and share what you believe in, and show up as yourself, be authentic. So, think about how you come over. Like, I'm very, I guess in my social media posts, I'm quite natural in them, because I don't want to pretend to be somebody I'm not. And some people won't like that, but other people will. And that's great, because people who don't like you aren't your people. And it's not your place to go and try and convince people who aren't your people to like you, because the world's big. There's millions, billions of people around the world, and not everybody's going to like everybody else. And that is okay. So you need to be good with that. And if you're putting out controversial posts and things, some people will agree with it and some people won't. And when I put out posts about things that are more controversial, you do get more of a reaction. So think about that when you're doing stuff. This is probably the most important slide of any online course, of anything you do in life. Like, if you want to take a picture of anything, take a picture of these 2 words: take action. So it's so easy to procrastinate on things like, I need a logo, or my website is not ready, or I'm not ready to go live on social media, or you can think about so many things. And I say this from a voice of experience. I procrastinate all the time, even like doing this course. I'm like, oh, I'll just do it in a bit. I'll just go and get another cup of tea and I'll get some coffee, and then it's lunchtime. But you have to take action, because me sitting here now recording this course means that I have the possibility of impacting somebody else's life. And if I just sat drinking tea today, nobody would have been impacted apart from the shops when I buy some more tea bags. Like, this is the thing, and this is the crazy thing. Like, we have so many opportunities when we coach people to transform and make an impact on people's lives, inspire people, make them happier. It's really exciting, but it doesn't happen unless you take some action. And like I spoke about, start, be messy, be scrappy. You can get testimonials before you even start paying. People start paying you, and that will give you confidence as well, because if you can do it for somebody without that pressure of thinking they're paying you, then you can definitely do it for somebody else. And experience always comes with action and not thoughts. So take that action. Like I said, like, it was hard standing on stage the first time, and it was hard the second time and the third time, but now I've done it, I don't know, 100 times or something. It's not so hard anymore. And yes, I still mess up. But that's life, and life doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. And even doing this course, I'll say the wrong word, and I could edit it out. But this is me. This is real life, and this is, we're all doing our best, and we're all just human. So just do it. Like, just get on and do it, and make a difference in the world. I would always recommend you get a mentor and a support network, because high level coaches always have their own mentors and their own coaches, because you need to work with people who've done it before you, because they have got experience and they can give you shortcuts, and you can ask them. They can be the sounding board. And so don't ever work with someone who's never had coaching themselves or never invested in themselves, because if they don't invest in themselves, why would you invest in them? So over the years, I've had so many mentors and coaches. In fact, I think I've lost count, and it's cost me lots of money, but also it's given me shortcuts. It's given me access and opportunities to people I wouldn't have had access to before. So Simon Coulson from the Internet Business School, he was my first mentor when I moved from being a solicitor, and I went on his 3-day training internet marketing course. From there, I became one of his coaches, and obviously got the opportunity to speak on stage. I did workshops with him, so that's collaboration, which I spoke about. And I still coach some of his clients now. I do my own thing, but I still coach clients I still coach with him now. So, and he's still a mentor. I mean, now I've known him so long that we're pretty much friends. So, I don't pay him anymore. But in the early days, I paid for mentoring from him, because he had done so much more than I'd ever experienced. And so I just took opportunities, and then you develop a relationship. So now, I mean, I don't ask him questions very often now, but if I need to, if I could ring him now and ask him something. If I had an issue in the business, I could give him a call. And that comes from building relationships over time, but also investing in yourself. So you don't always have to pay for advice, but it gets you started. So Alexi is another mentor of mine who's, she's achieved loads of great things. She's a humanitarian. She's got numerous businesses, best-selling author. So she's been a great influence, and she's developed my business. She's developed me personally, my mindset. There's Daniel Priestley, and I've been on his business accelerator. I've worked with Dent Global. He asked me to run his client community for him. I've helped at events. And Martin Norbury, again, world-class mentor, excellent coach, excellent mentor, I really couldn't rate these people highly enough. So that's a few of my mentors. Here's a few more. Robert Richmond, he formerly worked at Zappos in America, which are renowned for their culture, and got bought out by Amazon for £1 billion. He mentored me. He took me to Amsterdam to a client meeting with ING. He taught me how to facilitate an amazing event called Open Space. There's Shah Wasmond, who I've worked with many years ago, and that's at her MBE party. I remember actually waking up one time from having flu, and she rang me up asking me about her membership site, and I was feeling a bit jaded. So that's a memory from there. And then Justin and Jackie, they've helped me with my mindset around getting in flow, overcoming limiting beliefs, which is what we were speaking about early on, about how you need the right mindset. So I've really invested a lot in different people and different mentors and coaches. Jules, again, business, coaching, mindset, personal development. Rick was the mentor for my first book. Joe, my mentor for my second. Preston Smiles, again, amazing self-development work with him. A thought leader, all kinds of things. I've learned from so many people, and this is just a small list. So how do you find mentors? Now, mentors come in, you find them in various places. All I can share is how I find mine. So through YouTube, a tweet. So Daniel Priestley shared a tweet about his friend Jackie, and that led me to Jackie and Justin. Through communities, if you're part of communities, you'll see who's in those communities. And so being part of Daniel's communities, I met Martin, Norbury. Sometimes you get personally introduced to people when you know what you're looking for. Reading books is brilliant as well, because if you read a book, so Daniel Priestley, originally I realized or knew about him because I read his book, Key Person of Influence, which was given to me actually by somebody in my network. And always follows your curiosity, because I always do that. If someone mentions a book, I'm thinking, oh, what's that book? And then I look it up. And if you're never curious, you never follow things up, and then you don't discover stuff. So always have, in fact, Justin once said to me, he felt like I was just like down this rabbit hole, and it just get deeper and deeper, and just keep going further down the rabbit hole and looking at more things. And he just felt like he'd opened up this Aladdin's cave. So follow your curiosity and take recommendations as well. So it's a really good way to get mentors and coaches, because if people have recommended you, then there's that certain amount of trust, and they must be worth working with if other people have worked with them as well. So here are my tips, just to reiterate: never invest in a mentor who hasn't invested in themselves. Make sure you invest in yourself, because otherwise, why would others invest in you? And think about your social circles. Are they supportive? Because if they're not supportive, if you've got someone who's putting you down or saying it's not achievable, or so if, for example, you hang around people who drink heavily, eventually you're going to feel, or you're going to end up drinking heavily. Not necessarily, but it's going to be easier because the people around you all drink. So say, for example, if all your friends are getting tattoos, then it's going to be socially acceptable to have a tattoo, and it's going to be more likely that you're going to get a tattoo. Or if people, if they go out on Saturday nights and don't get until 2 a.m. every Saturday night, and then spend all of Sunday in bed, like, the conversations you're going to have are going to be about being hungover. Whereas if you surround yourself with athletes or fitness experts, on a Sunday morning, they'll be going out for a run at 7 a.m. So it's likely then you're going to think, oh, I should go out for a run at 7 a.m. because you're not going to want to share things that, oh, I was just in bed all day with a hangover. So think about your social circles, and you are the sum of the people you hang around with. And if you're not hanging around with the right people, then it's going to be harder for you to get these results. So put yourself into supportive circles and have a business community around you, because they will help you get through the tough times and the good times. So moving forward and thinking in advance, how can you scale? So one-to-one is time consuming, and it should really be your most expensive product because it's per hour, isn't it? And if you're spending an hour with someone, it's taking an hour of your time up. But yeah, later on, you might be able to create online training. So you can do online training to many people. I've done group coaching in the past as well. So I've delivered the same course to 6 people at once. And obviously, each person is paying then. So it's a good way to scale up without increasing the time you're spent. So you'll be getting paid more per hour in that example. And the other example is about setting up a membership service. So if you have like my like-hearted leaders, they pay a membership fee every month, and I do an hour a week for that. So it's an example of how you can scale without just putting your time into it all the time. And it's a good thing to think about. So that brings us to the end of this module. I hope that has given you some things to think about, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.